Hey guys, I am on my way home now. If you want to follow the convoy still, I would suggest finding some of the guys that are live feeding the convoy. Hopefully at some point I can put a link in the description of some of the guys that are still there. I had only a week and a half off of work, and I have to start driving now to make it back in time to get back to work. I thought I'd take some time to just sort of debrief, think over some of the stuff that I've seen this whole trip, and some of my takeaways, some of the things that I thought were really really cool, and then some of the things that I wasn't as much of a fan of. So I'd say overall, the overall experience has been extremely encouraging. Heading home right now, and I don't regret coming over here one bit. I am so glad I came out and was a part of this to this point. What they do in the future, that's still to be seen. But, you know, up to date, this has been an amazing movement. And I am proud that I was a part of it, and I'm waving my flags. You know, here's a window flag. I'm waving my flags all the way home because it's still it's a good thing to support that I can see so far. Okay, let's see. Let's get the negative out of the way first. Let me talk about some of the things that about the People's Convoy that I was not a fan of. When I left Idaho and I started my, let's see, what was it? It was a 2000. Let me pull up the speedometer real quick so I can give you more accurate. 2,470 mile excursion. That's not the word. 2000. Yeah. When I started that trip over here to join the convoy, what I was told is that the People's Convoy is about restoring freedom, ending mandates. It was about ending the emergency act that takes away our right to live free under the Constitution. It sort of nullifies, to the best of my understanding, what it does is it nullifies the Constitution and it puts us in a state of emergency. So it was to revoke that act, get the Constitution reestablished, get that going. And then the fourth thing I heard is that this is a peaceful protest. We are not here for violence. We're not here for any of that. You know, it's completely peaceful, law-abiding. So I'm like, those four things, I am on board. Fifth thing. What I heard was that it was on their website. It's, you know, all parties, Democrats, Republican, Independent, all the in between factions, all across the board, religious. You know, and it was saying, you know, there's none of it's not ethnically, you know, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. So 5 things. Yeah. Basically, I heard those 5 things, and I was all on board for all of that, 100%. And so I was like, okay, I'm going with those guys. I can truck with those guys. When I got here, the first night, and I'd say the second night too, I would say it was that. It was that. I ran into, I met a Bernie Sanders YouTuber that was all about the movement. Don't ask me why, because Bernie Sanders is about socialism, and You know, it didn't make sense in my head. But hey, it was Bernie Sanders, and he was about the movement. He was about ending mandates, you know, all the things I just told you. So that was good. I met a Muslim who was all about this. You know, so I saw firsthand that it was pulling in people from all religions. And you know, I was like, okay, this is cool. So that was one thing, you know, I was a little worried about coming, that it was going to be one-sided, and now I'm seeing firsthand that all these guys are here, and I think that's a cool movement. Cool movement. Third night, we roll into where we were at in, see, I've already forgot the name of the town, just outside of the DC, where they're still stationed right now. We rolled into there, and it felt like when we moved in there, it felt like the whole atmosphere kind of changed, and it became it became a lot more politicized, I felt. A lot more, very right, red, alt-right feeling to it. It felt more like it was just a Trump rally, which, you know, I support Trump. I didn't vote for him the first year. I voted for him the second year. If he runs up for election, I'll probably vote for him again. We'll see, you know, how that goes. But I would probably vote for him again, because what I've seen, I stand for. But that's not what this should have been about, in my opinion. That's not what this should have been about, and it's not what when the convoy got started, it's not what they said they were about. And I saw people leaving. All of those people I just told you about that I met, they're not there anymore, and it's not because they had to go back to work. Also, when I was in the grandstands when they were giving their speeches, I watched. So about a quarter of the way through the speeches, people started getting up from the grandstands and leaving. Okay, that's concerning to me, because what this movement did is it brought together, it just cut through all of that junk that the people in power are trying to use to divide us. You know, if you're a Democrat, I do not agree with your views, you know, and I probably don't agree with your morals, but you're entitled to your opinion, you know, absolutely. And I'm standing up for your freedom, and you have just as much right to your freedom as I do, and they use those things to segregate us and to get us alone. A guy I talked to last night and interviewed, he said isolation always, and he had a fancier word, isolation always brings abuse. They are isolating us so that they can abuse us, so that they can take away our rights, our freedoms, so that they can push their agendas and get what they want done. They are isolating us any way they can, on race, on color, on religion, on politics, on whether you're pro-vaccine, anti-vaccine, whether you're pro-choice, anti-choice. They are segregating us as best they can on anything they can, because when America is divided, we fall. United we stand, divided we fall, and they know that. They know that, and that's how they are taking over this country. I'm getting a big hassle of people behind me. I think I'm gonna pull over and let them all on by. They're dividing us and dividing and conquering us and abusing the people. Okay, so I was very discouraged to see it turning into just a Trump rally. I think it was better last night. I think it was less of a Trump rally last night. There was still a lot of that around, but I felt like it got better. I was frustrated that the people leading this didn't address that and make the people from all walks of life feel welcome there, because it felt like just, yeah. Okay, enough on that. The other thing that really kind of got under my skin is there was a lot of "Let's go Brandon" and F Biden there, which, everybody's entitled to their opinion, and you can put that on your car if you want. I think where it crosses the line is all the vehicles that were just going back and forth inside the camp, blaring music that had, those lyrics, and pretty vulgar lyrics through the camp, and then also that also that it wasn't addressed from the people in leadership. I was frustrated with that because this is a family thing. This is a movement. It's not about disrespecting the president. I would agree that the president needs to leave, and that I would even say I think he is there illegitimately. That he technically is not the president, and that he got in there by a sleight of hand, and that he needs to go. And I would agree that all those people should be in jail. But that's not what this event is about. And it's getting too complicated, and people can't get behind it. And I was hoping that we would have more class than that we would take the higher road, and I was talking to a guy who had, the F Biden on his vehicle, and I was telling him my concern about this, and he says, yeah, but you have to understand that it's a knee-jerk reaction to the F Trump, that all of Antifa was, well, not just Antifa, that a lot of the country was flying when he was in office. And I was like, okay, I get that, but it is not classy. We need to be above that. We need to take the higher road. Don't go down to that level of name calling and disrespect. Let's do this thing civilly. Get that guy out of there. If he needs to go to jail, get him in jail. And everybody else, if they need to go to jail, get him to jail. But let's do this the right way. I'm gonna pause the video real quick while I gather my thoughts on my next thing. So real quick, for all my friends that are watching, if you want more details and you want to talk, feel free to call me. I've got a long trip home, and I would love the company to stay awake, and I can give you more details about stuff if you want. So the next thing that frustrated me there was the disrespect to people that are trying to cover this with media. So I was there as media. I mean, waving flags, and I have my signs too, and I'm doing the, raising awareness as well. But the big thing that I was doing there was taking these videos and YouTubing them so that the world can see. So that's why I'm there, and I felt disrespected many times. And by people just, they were, I would say, they were very suspicious of me because I was going around filming, which I understand that. I understand, like, I understand that it can all be used as evidence against them, and that, there's facial recognition thing, voice recognition, there's, license plates floating around everywhere, and cameras picking up overhearing conversations. But what I'd have to say to that is, okay, nothing we're doing there is illegal, so don't be afraid. The second thing I'd have to say to that is, there are so many cameras there. If you're afraid of your picture or your license plate being taken, that's the wrong place to be. That is the wrong place to be, because there is no way you are going to go into that camp without without Homeland Security having everything on you. The third thing I'd have to say about that is, look, how this thing grows is, the first thing is the convoy rolling through the states and showing the size. That's how this thing gets movement, and the people on the overpasses giving support. Thank you. The people on the overpasses giving support. That's how people start waking up. The other way that people start waking up is that their Facebook feeds are flooded, their YouTube feeds, it pops up, their Twitter feeds, it pops up on Twitter, all those social media platforms. This thing has to pop up on their feed, and you can't get there if people aren't YouTubing. You can't get there if people aren't putting this stuff on TikTok. You can't get there if people aren't putting this on Facebook and liking it. So, you guys, this is part of the movement. The media, from little guys, from little YouTubers, little guys like me, small media, that's how it gets out. That's how our message is heard, because the big media sources are just now picking up on it. Like, seriously, this thing has rolled from California to there, and they are just now picking up on it, now that we're actually at DC. And that's a shame, because the amount of support that I saw across the nation, it is such biased that they have not covered this before, because it is one of the largest movements, in the States right now, and they're not covering it. So and when they do cover it, they're not representing it well. They're not giving you what the truck, the actual opinions of the truckers and unedited footage. They're giving you exactly the message that they want you to hear. They're not letting the truckers give you their message. The truckers aren't getting their voice out on the big media. So, guys, please support the little guys that are trying to get your message out, and quit giving them the dirty looks. Quit, being afraid of the interviews. Personally, I was shoved and my camera was flung. I had that personally happen to me, and a lot of vulgar language thrown at me. Now, I'll admit I was in the wrong in the moment, because I was leaning against somebody's truck and he was mad that I was on his truck with my camera. But I apologized to him as best as I could. It's all on film, as best as I could. And I was as peaceful as I can, and he still continued to just shout at me, and even went to the point of threatening me, literally threatening me. A guy who was in the camp, part of the convoy, threatening me. That made me want to go home. I was done. I was done, and if I didn't have my support group of trucker friends there that just helped me refocus and calm down, I would have left that night. Because I'm in this deep too, guys. I have just as much to lose as everybody else. And I am thousands of miles away from home. And I have a wife, I have 2 young boys, and I am missing home. So come on, guys. Okay, that's enough on the negative. Let's talk about the positive. Yep, I got on the wrong road. Okay, let's try this again. Thankfully, I'm in a little town, and getting on the wrong road isn't a big deal right here. What I have been really encouraged about is I personally got to see the truckers under heavy. Oh, that's a cool building. Maybe I'll show you guys this building as I go by. I personally got to see the truckers' reaction to heavy stress. Okay, let's see if we can get this in there. So that's a pretty sweet building. There's another sweet building right there, but man, look at that guy. That's cool. I personally got to see the truckers' reaction under heavy stress. So when we went down on the DC, on the Beltway around DC, we had 2 vehicles, and I think there was a third, but there was definitely a black Jaguar and a red Malibu that was cutting in front of the trucks and then slamming on their brakes as hard as they possibly could, trying to get the truckers to smash into them. Okay, and these are guys with trucks that are their livelihood. Their truck gets in a wreck, or towed or whatever. That's their livelihood. That's how they make money, and so they have a lot on the line. But the truckers kept their peace. They just called it on the radio. They called out the license plates. They got video of it. Just a second. They got video of it, and they kept cool. So that was really encouraging to me, and made me feel like I was in good company, and that these were really level-headed guys that were trying to do this peacefully. And then the other thing I saw was we had what we suspect, and I never heard the end of the story, but what we suspect was an Antifa down in camp, and causing mischief. And some of the security team down there started chasing him out, telling him get out, and so the guy hopped in his vehicle and burned rubber trying to get through the camp very unsafely. And the security guys started chasing him to the end, and then another one of the security guards blocked the exit way. So I hope that was all legal. I don't know. I'm not a part of that, but anyhow, they blocked him in and stopped him, and they caught up with him and got video of his license plate, and they had video of the whole event, and they got the license plate. And this was late at night. I'm at the front entryway. That's where my vehicle is parked, so I see this whole thing go down. And also, right behind those 2 security guards running up, I see the leader of the movement moving up, Brian. He's running up there, and he's booking it up there. And he gets up there, and the security guards, they're super excited and frustrated and, you know, yelling, and Brian's like, hold on, calm down, let me talk to him, calm down, go ahead and back up, you know, give the guy some room, back up. And he got over and he's like, asking the guy to roll down his window, and he's like, trying to get him to talk. And so the guy rolls down his window. He's like, hey, what's going on, man? What's happening? And Brian, yeah, I think that's his name. Brian was so peaceful, so diplomatic. He's like, what's going on? Please tell me your story. What's happening here? And the guy tells him this story, and he's like, yeah, I'm just down here checking it out and all that, and I'm for you guys, you know, I'm just down here peaceful, and I love you guys. And Brian's like, okay, that's great. See, tensions are really, really high in the camp, and I'm sorry, you know, if my guys freaked you out or anything like that, if these guys freaked you out or anything like that, you know, we're just very stressed out right now. Tensions are high. We have lots of people trying to do stuff to our property down here, and trying to get in fights, and so he talked with them. He's like, I want you to know, these guys got their license plate. Are you a part of Antifa? And they're like, oh, no, we're not a part of Antifa. It's like, okay, I just want you to know, because we have your license plate and we have it recorded, and if you guys have done something, it's we're gonna, you know, you're not gonna get away with it. And he's like, but we're gonna let you go, and I would suggest, he tells the guys, I would suggest that you don't come back here for a while, you know, but because people, their stress level is very high, and he's like, but go ahead and go, you know. I'm sorry for anything that might have happened that you know, that was wrong, you know, and let those guys go. And then he went and talked with the security guards and debriefed with them, and I was in on that conversation because I saw the whole thing. Brian was like, anybody who saw the event, was a part of the event, come over here, let's talk about this. And we talked about it for a little while, and then I got out of there because I really didn't have much to do with it. So all that to say, he was very level-headed, and I was concerned about the level-headedness of the group up to that point. But I saw firsthand how the leader of that organization dealt with a very potentially explosive situation, and he handled it amazing, in my opinion. That gave me a lot of confidence, and made me wish I was still there today. I was like, I can ride with that guy. I can ride with that guy. The other thing that I saw that was really, really neat is they're in it for the long haul, and they are trying to do it as legally as possible. They are not going down in the Beltway because they're afraid that there is something illegal about that, being that it's federal land down there, and something about protesting down there that they're not sure they can. That would be, it might give them reason to start confiscating trucks, putting people in jail, that sort of thing. And they're trying to do that legal, but they're not backing down. They're still going around the Beltway. They're going around the Beltway today. That's really cool. There is a lot of guts in that group. They are a very, very determined group, and it's growing. That's something else that I saw was cool. I was worried about a few days ago that we would lose support as we got into DC. That's not the case. Those videos I showed of the size of the camp, it's only grown since that day. It's grown and it's grown and it's grown, and there's more trucks there than before. There's more citizens than before. Granted, a lot of people are starting to have to go home like me, but it's still growing. and that's really cool. I'm excited about that. The other thing that I'm excited about is that we saw support all the way into the Beltway, and I was expecting to not see very much support as we got down to DC, but we still saw, I mean, it wasn't a lot, but we still saw a lot, you know, a good turnout of support as we went around the Beltway. And it may be more, you know, as people start understanding what we're doing, you know, that we're going around the Beltway, people may come out and show more support, because a lot of people who are in support just don't know what we're doing, don't know what's happening for the day. Okay, let me pause the video real quick while I try to think of anything else that was really encouraging. Something else that was very encouraging was the level of commitment of a lot of the people there, from all over the country. And these are people who have either taken time off of work or have been fired because of the vaccine mandates, mask mandates, people who are retired that are able to come up here, people that own their own businesses. I met a couple people that own their own, well, the trucker group I ran with yesterday, the owner gave all of his employees, I think it was like a week off of work or something like that, and they're from New York. They came down. He gave them the week off of work, and he said, any of you guys that want to ride with us, please take my company trucks. He supplied them with the company trucks to go down and be a part of this movement if he wants, and covered all of their fuel. And well, their truck has a bunch of food in it, so basically their food is covered too. Really neat, tight-knit group. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4, maybe 5 of his truckers joined up with him on this and are down there. And he is putting, you know, his trucks on the line, and he's also he's paying for the fuel too. He's not trying to get reimbursed by the convoy, so he is, you know, he is sacrificing a lot. And I was talking to him, and he said the sacrifice of fuel is actually nothing. He's saying what the big sacrifice is that he isn't hauling anything right now. He has all of his trucks down for however long this is, and he's losing all that money every single day to pay bills. And that's, he says, where the big sacrifice is coming in, cost-wise. So there's like that level of commitment, extreme amount of commitment. And then you have, you know, the people like me that are in cars. I've seen firsthand what these guys are doing, because I stay up pretty late editing videos. One night I was up till 5 o'clock editing videos, and in the passenger car area, what I was seeing is that people, you know, they're in these smaller cars or smaller vehicles, and what they have to do is they have to sit in the front seat, recline the seat back, and then every once in a while turn on the engine and then let the car idle. And these guys are getting horrible sleep, just cramped in their car. They're living out of their car, cold, super cold. It was very, very cold the last 3 days, and they're toughing it out. They're toughing it out, and they are fully committed, and that is just, the level of commitment is unbelievable. And I guess I would ask, like, guys, there has been a movement of people to show the U.S. that we don't need to be afraid. I would say, please back them up. Back them up. And what backing them up looks like is stop being afraid of the media. Stop being afraid of Facebook. Stop being afraid of all your social media. Start posting the stuff, liking the stuff, expressing your opinion of wanting freedom, of ending mandates, Get it out there, and also show your support by not letting this movement die. I'm not saying go to DC. That's not, in my opinion, that's not what needs to happen next. Going back to DC and doing that. I think what needs to happen is that people start standing up in their community and start organizing protests. Start organizing events that regular events where numbers grow and people come out in protest and show support, and start letting these guys back here know that, hey, they're starting movements all across the United States and getting people going in the United States to show support, so that they're not just one little group that's standing up. We need groups everywhere that are standing up. It needs to be across the states, as many places as we can, as big of crowds as we can. If you hear of a movement that's a couple 100 miles, 100 miles or so away, go be a part of that. Go be a part of that and give them numbers. We need to see numbers out there and support out there, numbers of support to make this thing change. Help these guys out that way. That will give, first of all, that will give them courage, and that will give everybody around you courage. There is strength in numbers. And stop being fearful. These guys are blazing a trail. They're taking the point. They're taking point in that they're taking any danger that might come of this is going to first fall on them. Okay, so they've already done that. Stop being fearful and step out and start helping support and start sacrificing. Start sacrificing. I'd say one of my biggest frustrations is I have seen a lot of support going across the states, all the way to DC. I've seen a lot of support, and I've talked with a lot of people, and they're all very supportive. But the problem is that they're not supportive enough to actually spend time with fuel driving with us. They're not willing to take off time of work. They're all financially strapped. I'm financially strapped too. We're all financially strapped. We're all paycheck to paycheck. We have to make some sacrifices where we can. We have to make sacrifices to get out there. We have to get outside of our comfort zone. Okay, please don't take that as a guilt trip. I'm not trying to guilt trip. What I'm trying to say is, please don't let the sacrifice that these guys have made, please don't let that go to nothing. Everything that's happened so far will be for nothing if people don't stand up. And that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, I'm pleading, and I'm saying, now is the day. Today is the day to start talking with people and say, hey, I'm going to go stand on that side of that corner, and I'm going to hold a sign that says end mandates. I'm going to hold a sign that says freedom. I'm going to hold a sign that says stop the Emergency Act. I'm going to hold that sign. Will you join me? And if they don't, you go stand on that side. You go stand on that street. If you are the only person, trust me, I've been there. Okay, it wasn't just me. I had my wife and 2 friends. There was 4 of us standing on a busy street. And that was hard. That was hard. Nobody was standing with us. I understand that is hard, and there's a lot of eyes on you and a lot of people that don't hold your view, but please do it. Even if nobody will do it with you, please go do it, because that's where it starts. Okay, so those guys have went there and they have started a movement. Please help grow that movement. Otherwise, this is going to die, and the tyrants will be more emboldened, and they will hit even harder. Okay, to the Christians out there, I know a lot of people have joined this YouTube channel that probably don't share my faith, and that's fine. What I'm going to say right now is to Christians. So feel free to listen in, or just fast forward if you want, if you're not a Christian, but by all means listen if you're curious. To Christians, I know a lot of us are thinking that it is the end days, and it's probably true. It's probably the end days, and Christ is probably coming back very soon. A lot of the prophecies that we've been looking forward to are starting to happen, so that's a pretty good sign that the last days are here, and that Jesus is going to be showing up anytime. You know, there's not much, as far as I can see, prophecy-wise, that is keeping that is left to do prophecy-wise. It's all there. I would say, just because Christ is coming back does not mean we should not stand up and stand for things that are right. No, this isn't standing up to preach the gospel, like I addressed before. It's not standing up and preaching the gospel. You can do that, by the way. And I would say, are you doing that? You know, are you brave enough to do that? But it's not standing up and preaching the gospel. What it is doing, though, is it is standing up for the character of God. It is standing up for things that are right. It's standing up for righteousness. It's standing up for people who have lost their voice. It is standing up for the future generation. If Jesus tarries, I pray he doesn't. If Jesus tarries, if he doesn't come back right away, it's standing up for those kids that are coming up, and it's standing up for justice. Think of the verse, love just, what's the verse? Love justice and mercy. I might. The verse that says to love justice and mercy. We're supposed to love justice. Actually, I think it's love mercy. Something else, justice. Seek justice. Stand up for justice, guys. What's going on in America right now is not just. What people in power are doing to other people is not just. For instance, what large corporations are doing to their employees is not just. Requiring them to get vaccinated just to keep their job. That's not just. That's not freedom. Stand up for those guys. Support them and say, you know, tell those corporations what you are doing is wrong. Stop. The other thing I would say to the Christians real quick is that this movement is about, you know, it's about unification, and that can be a scary thing, especially when we're talking about, you know, on the website it talks about it doesn't matter what faith you're from, what's, you know, it says not gay, straight, transgender, any of that stuff. It says that's not what this movement is about, and we welcome everybody. And I know that is like a knee-jerk reaction to Christians. And what I would say to that is I'm right there with you on it's definitely not something I like to be a part of when it says that. but also realize that those people, even though they're completely wrong, we still need to love them, and we still need to allow them to have their freedoms. Because we're not their judge. We're not their judge, and the Holy Spirit will convict them in his own time if he chooses to convict them. Preach to those guys, talk to them, and try to show them truth. But they're still entitled at the end of the day to what they want to believe. And forced religion is not something that I want to be a part of. Following Jesus is a choice, and right now those people aren't choosing that, and we still need to respect them as human beings, and their decision to join this movement and to fight for freedom. I want to leave you guys with two last things. First is, babe, my wife, I cannot wait to see you. I am so homesick. I'm not coming home because of that. I'm coming home because I have used up all my vacation time, but I am really sick of being away from home. And I can't wait to get there and see you. The second thing, to everybody else, I have been so glad that I was a part of this. This is a historic event that has happened. Whether it ever goes into the history books is another matter, but that doesn't matter. This was a piece of history. We had trucks from California that trucked all the way across the states to DC, and the amount of support of people that came out to support them the entire stretch of the way has never happened before. Except for in Canada. It happened in Canada. But that has never happened before. And I think I said before, kings and queens, presidents, rock stars have never had this sort of a greeting and this sort of a welcoming and this sort of cheering on. They have never had that, and they want that so bad. There may have been some tyrant kings that made people go out ahead of them and yell out their name. That's a different thing. But it wasn't this long. It was definitely not this long. That many miles. I think the Canadians have the American beat on this, but it is a historic world record, unheard of before in the history of the world. And I was glad to be a part of that and see it firsthand. And I think what encourages me more is that this could be the beginning of a bigger piece of history. And that's what I'm hoping you guys will be a part of as well, is a bigger piece of history where the entire world stands up and says no. Where the entire world stands up peacefully and takes the tyrants down peacefully. When the people stand up in numbers, they can't do anything but give up their tyrant, the tyrant stance. Yeah, they have a big military and a lot of scary stuff, but when everybody stands up, they can't do anything about that. And this is, what I am hopeful for is that this is the beginning of a much bigger piece of history that is across the world. And that's where all of us, we still have that choice ahead of us. We still have that choice ahead of us whether we are going to be a part of that history. And I would say, stand up. Be counted. Do your little part. Do your part. You know, me going to DC, that was just a very small little part. But my small little part added to somebody else's small little part and somebody else's small little part, and when you add all those up, it was a huge movement. You know, that one person that went to that one overpass, that was one small part, but there was a lot of people that went to the overpass, and without that one person, it would have been one less. And it takes people, it takes numbers. So, yeah. Leave you with that, and I'll be home soon.